A prenuptial agreement is between two parties that are anticipating that they're going to get married, and they want to change the effect of the community property laws on their property and their income before they get married, and so they do that in a prenuptial agreement.
It's important to know that not everyone should have or needs a prenuptial agreement. The best candidates for a prenuptial agreement are people who have separate assets that they would otherwise be bringing into a marriage that could potentially become part of the community and not remain that party's separate asset. For example, if you have a business that you've built over the years, you can craft a prenuptial agreement that makes your income that you're earning and your performance in that business remain your sole and separate property. Other great candidates are people who are coming into maybe second marriages, late in life marriages, and you've built your financial background and you have that background built. A prenuptial agreement gives you and your potential spouse the ability to create what your community is going to look like in your marriage, as opposed to letting the law create the community for you.
Some of the things that we actually can't do with a prenup in New Mexico is we can't control alimony. We can make statements about it and we can talk about intent, but we can't adversely impact the future of an alimony claim by either spouse. Another thing that we really cannot control is custody and child support. Those are things that our courts say we're going to deal with that at the time. We're not going to deal with that in a prenuptial agreement. The process for obtaining a prenuptial is that the client comes in and we discuss what the client's objectives are, what we're trying to protect, and then I draft the agreement, and then that is presented to the other person, and that other person needs to also have a lawyer that will review it. That's the best way to try to protect it and have an enforceable prenuptial agreement. In terms of the timing of a prenuptial agreement, you can't sign one so close to a marriage that later on the person that wants to try to break a prenup is going to come back and say, I didn't have full disclosure, I didn't have time to review, I didn't have time to negotiate, I didn't have time to meet with a lawyer. So you have to back up and give the other person all of the information that they need and access to a lawyer and actually be able to negotiate those terms. And if you've done all of that, then you're going to have an enforceable prenuptial agreement. So I would say you don't want to be signing one like a week before. If you've done all of that work ahead of time, then you can sign it a week before. It's really backing up and saying, did we have time to draft it, for the other person to review it, to negotiate it, to talk to their lawyer? Was there a full disclosure of all of the assets, the debts, the income, the expenses?